Fiveish Fangirls, I love you, and I'm one of the Fiveish. In fact, I'm the biggest one of the Fiveish. I am the Sixth Doctor Colin Baker, and I wish you all well. Have fun.
The tangents this week continue all the way to episode 451 of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. Come along, Perry. You're going to have fun if it kills you. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Fiveish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like we do every week with the virtual table. Let's see who's joined us this week. I got tongue-tied there. I need some more water.
This is Chrissy in Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
This is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey there.
Yay.
And hopefully wherever you're listening to this, you aren't going through the roller coaster of weather patterns that some of us are going through.
Oh my gosh, yesterday.
Mother Nature, make up your mind.
I was at my in-laws over the weekend. We drove up Friday evening, and about halfway, it was dry, and it started raining. And then the further we got north, the rain eventually turned to snow, but it was light snow. And by the time we were like 3/4 of the way there, it looked like we were on the Millennium Falcon going through on hyperdrive.
Mm-hmm. I hate that kind of driving. Oof.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't bother me any. I mean, I've lived here and grown up in it. I've got lots of Indiana winters under my belt behind the wheel. But it was just we were driving into the wind, so it's like we were not going as fast as we would have liked to. And then you got the roads were getting slick, and it was just And then yesterday we come home and I've got like short sleeves on, and I've got the window cracked. So it was like 48 hours before it was a winter wonderland, and now it's like I don't even need a jacket. So
welcome to spring. It'll change in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yesterday it was beautiful out here. The sun was out. I told the kids you do not need your jackets. We went to the park. There were people all over. It was also the Pokemon Go tour event, so we had a lot of Pokemon Go players doing their thing. And it was fun. It was nice. It was actually a little warm. I turned the AC on in the car. And then this morning I was like, what's the weather like? Okay, kids, get your jackets back on. It's chilly.
Yeah, I did turn on the air conditioning in my car for a little bit today. Oh.
Yeah.
But
that was a false spring we had.
Yeah.
Or,
it's like, this is just a taste of what's coming, but you don't get it yet.
Nope. Here's your cookie. Just kidding. Here's your cookie.
It's like getting the little sample. It's like getting a little sample at Costco, and then you're like, "Oh, this is great. Where can I buy this? What aisle is it?" And they're like, "Sorry, it hasn't come in yet. We're just you can't actually buy it yet. We just want to entice you.
We're just telling you about it. It'll be here in like a month." It's like,
Oh my. So, well, we don't have a whole lot of news, but we do have our SAG winners. So we are officially in the home stretch for the Academy Awards, and to no one's surprise, Oppenheimer walked away with pretty much everything. Which the SAG Awards are they're kind of a mix. It's movie and TV, and they don't have a best picture. They have outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture, and they don't have a director award either. So, but it's still into Oppenheimer. It's
the Screen Actors Guild. So, as we learned very well last summer about some of the inner workings and such, it's more about the actors. So it doesn't surprise me there isn't a director's award because the directors have their own guild.
Yes,
Mhm.
that is true.
But they do have a stunt
Some
category.
directors also act, and vice versa.
That is true.
The directors are the ones that make sure that the actors do their job right.
Yep.
But
Get
anyway, but yeah, so not really any surprises with the categories that they do have. So both in the film and TV. So it is looking like right now the leading actress category is going to be a Battle of the Stones. So I think it's going to be a toss up.
We'll see what happens. Place your
Between,
bets if
between
you are.
Emma and Lily. So
Mhm.
but we shall
See
see.
how that goes.
Yeah. So now we all get the fun job of figuring out our individual picks, and then each team figuring out what their team picks are going to be. And 2 weeks from now, we will know who won. So.
Yeah. Just don't get your Oscar picks mixed up with your March Madness bracket.
Yes.
Because that is coming up soon too.
Yep.
Mhm. Yay, more sports ball.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah, don't do something like that, like at late at night when you're getting tired, because when you go to pull out your your score sheets or whatever later, you're gonna be like, why do I have UCLA winning Best Picture? And Robert Downey Jr. going into the Elite Eight,
like, don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be hilarious.
Mm-hmm. In this case, I have Robert Downey Jr. going the whole way.
Same Same here.
Well, speaking of,
The man deserves it. Let's just put it that way.
does. I'm so proud of him.
Mhm.
Well, speaking of nominees, this month's Gold Standard Patreon episode is now in the Patreon feed. If you are a subscriber, we go all the way back to 2010, because that's so long ago. But rather, this is one of those where it just kind of worked out. Yeah, those podcast kind of serendipitous type things, because odds are he's going to walk away with several statues in 2 weeks with the Christopher Nolan film Inception. So nothing like talking about Christopher Nolan while Christopher Nolan is on a winning streak. So
Mhm.
In the on the hot topics carousel here.
Yep. That's a hashtag that I think we can use.
Mhm.
It should do well.
Sure it will. It's
But,
like, by the way, all you Oscar people, come listen to our podcast. Well, Rachel and Nick and Zan's podcast, but yes.
Yep. So if you're a Patreon supporter, you can go listen to that. Which, if you're a Spotify user, you can actually get
Yes, you can.
those Patreon episodes via your Spotify feed. So you don't
Yep.
have to go to Patreon and download it from there.
Oh,
They made the option where you can link your Spotify account to your Patreon, and if the Patreons you're subscribed to click that, you can do that. It is very, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
there you go.
One-stop shopping.
Mm-hmm.
Very convenient.
Yes.
There you go. Learn life hacks over here from the.
Yep. Technology.
Mm-hmm. When it works, it works
So, there's
fantastic.
that.
But when it
Yeah.
goes kablooey,
Yeah.
hey.
and does
I'm looking
Holly
at
was
you,
saying before we
outage.
started, you've got a few more days for book club
Yes.
for the month before we switch over.
You get one more extra day because
You
of the
get an
leap
extra
year.
day.
Yep. So enjoy that extra day. Some places are advertising special deals. We're just advertising get an extra day to vote.
Yes.
On the book club thing. So that again, that's on Goodreads. We'll also link to it on our website and in the show notes. And you can vote on what we're gonna be reading in March. So
Or listening to, because I
listening to that too.
I always try to put a big finish choice or choices, just because hey, sometimes we need to fill in the gaps because sometimes those authors don't write as fast as we like them to.
Yep. And Goodreads counts audio as reading,
Yes.
which
Which
is
is
very
so
wise
nice.
of them. Yes. And again, you have the librarian here telling you, yes, it does count as reading. So many people who are like, we do reading challenges every once in a while at the library, and they're like, well, I just do audiobooks. I don't really read. It's like, that counts. Goodreads agrees with us, so
yeah,
it's a story being told to you. Yes. Are you taking it in? Yes. There you go.
Yes. You're using similar.
It meets the requirements.
Yeah. Similar cognitive functions.
Yep.
In your brain that.
Yep.
They like to be itched. So there you go. So it's all good. Anyway.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to feedback. What's feedback from Shelley?
Yay!
Hello.
Yeah. And she says, so the rumors are true. Pedro Pascal is going to be in the Fantastic Four. I'm more excited for Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch. Comes out on my birthday next year. Hey, that's good. So there's something to celebrate my 30th birthday. Hey, that's not a bad, a bad gig. She says the first Fantastic Four with Chris Evans came out in 2005. A decade later, we got a bad remake. And the next year, we get another remake with a great cast. I read it's going to take place around the 60s. Yeah, supposedly, that's
the
that's what the word on the street is, at least.
Yes.
So, yeah, these things cycle around. So. I was trying to mention last time. I guess we're going to call Avengers 5 for now. Yes, they've dropped the Kang subtitle. Secondary title for Avengers 5 until they figure out what the heck they're going to do. So, so for now it's going to be Avengers 5. Even Marvel puts this stuff in pencil. So
probably gonna have some sort of retreat where they confer and decide what they're doing.
Probably. Speaking of Marvel animation, I read the new Spider-Man anime show is going to be called The Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. That's because he is.
Yes.
Spider-Man is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Funnily enough, Chauncey was playing random stuff on his phone the other day, and I'll have to see if it's on YouTube so I can link to it. Although I think he's on Spotify, which I could link to it too. But somebody took the Spider-Man cartoon theme song that we all know, Spider-Man. Yeah, they took that, but then they changed it to it's singing about Macho Man Randy Savage.
Ooh, interesting. That one I wouldn't mind listening to.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen the Homer Simpsons
Spider Pig,
Spider
Ham. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I will have to find a link for that and so y'all can listen to it. So so the last thing I forgot to mention last time about the sequel, Moana, I'm sad Lin-Manuel Miranda's not coming back to do the music. Hopefully he'll come back for another Disney movie in the future and get another shot for an EGOT. Oh, I'm sure he will. He and Disney are tight. So
Yes. You're not seeing this, but my fingers and my arms are crossed for how close they are.
Yeah. They'll find something for him to do. So he'll get that EGOT eventually.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It's really just a matter of time.
Yeah, it's not if, it's when.
Yes. This just says, here are the upcoming Disney Twisted Tale books coming out this year. There's going to be a Brave and Nightmare Before Christmas, and also Robin Hood, but that's only releasing outside of the U.S. But she's still excited. That's cool. They're still on the list.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, Shalane. Moving on to this week's main topic, since my birthday was not this last weekend, but the weekend before that. Of course, that means picking a Big Finish. And of course, I have to pick a Sixth Doctor audio because I'm me. And really, considering, the specials we got with David Tennant, that, if I'm going to pick any Sixth Doctor audio, is going to be the Sixth Doctor with the Celestial Toymaker. So,
of course, because the tie-in and everything. I mean, oh my goodness gracious!
I know. Although this is not the only audio with the Toymaker.
No,
but
no.
This is the only one with the Sixth Doctor, the Toymaker. So,
yes,
in audio form, the Toymaker is actually meant the 7th, 6th, and 8th Doctors. So,
yes.
It is. I love the concept of the lost stories. I mean, originally, like this one, it was the canceled. Was it
TV script?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was supposed to take place, which would have been season 22, 23. This takes place right after Revelation of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Which, if you remember, at the end of that, after everything that the Doctor and Perry have gone through, with the Daleks and Davros, and the world's weirdest DJ who DJs for dead people, at the end, Perry once again is insisting on going someplace fun, and the Doctor's all like, "Okay, well, I'll take you to," and it ends. Where it was originally scripted before they realized that somebody pulled the plug for 18 months on Doctor Who, is the Doctor was going to say, "Okay, I'll take you to Blackpool." And this would have fed into the Nightmare Fair, which would have kicked off the next season.
Yes. And in
but
fact,
they realized that that was not going to happen necessarily, so they edited it in a way that the Sixth Doctor doesn't say where they're going to go.
Yeah, it left it up in the air, but it was a very
abrupt.
It was a very abrupt edit. It's not a very good edit. If you can watch that, but yeah. So they had some. So they already had some scripts planned. So, but they just were kind of, I don't know, sitting in somebody's attic or in the drawer or whatever. So what Big Finish did, as Big Finish does, they're like, "Hey, why don't we find those and see if we can adapt them for audio?" And the interview portions of these stories,
they're fantastic.
They're fascinating. They're like go into how they found these scripts. Some of them were like, maybe at the BBC, or the author or the writers just had them still on hand, and they have to get permission to do that. And so, like, if you've listened to a lot of the Big Finish audios, sometimes the Doctor and the companions, they character development marches on, but so the characters are a little bit different than they are in the TV stories. So, but where these were originally meant for TV, they kind of don't. Well, they do work with the Big Finish audio, but you have to recognize, like, this is TV Sixth Doctor and Perry, not necessarily Big Finish Sixth Doctor and Perry. So they have their own line of these are the lost stories, so they don't fold them into the main ranger or whatever, which I kind of like because it kind of sets them apart. And then they went on to find other scripts that were done but were never written, or even just treatments of scripts, or even just vague ideas, or like, these are called the lost stories. And they've done them for pretty much all of the classic TV Doctors. And there even for the first Doctor, the first Doctor has a couple that I adore. It's like Farewell Great Macedon and the crap. Now I can't remember. It's something yellow. I don't know. Something to do with the color yellow.
Yeah.
Yellow fragrance of something or other. Anyway, I remember listening to him and loving him. But this one is the Nightmare Fair, which is the Sixth Doctor and Perry, and it is a blast. I gotta say.
And
before we get into the actual audio itself, the story of this, Chrissy, you got like the cliff notes, the TLDR version of it. But looking into it, like, this story has been just like passed around and used like a used car or something. Like,
and to tell
it was
you the
new
truth,
at one point, and then it kept getting passed around and owned by different people, because yes, there was the script, and then Target Books, being the lovely publishers that they still are, they did a novelization.
Yes, they did.
In 1989, this is after Doctor Who was off the air permanently, at least as far as we knew then. And the script and the novelization were written by the same person, the producer Graham Williams.
Thank heavens for small favors.
Yes. So this was the first novel-length text featuring the Doctor not to be based on a previously seen production. So technically this is original because nobody had ever heard this or seen this story before. And then in 2003 there was actually an audio play done for charity by a bunch of random people that had nothing to do with Doctor Who. So
interesting.
And then Big Finish finally got around to doing this in 2009, where it was adapted by John Ainsworth and got Colin and Nicola, obviously. At this point, that our OG toy maker Michael Goh had retired. So because he was still with us at this point, but he retired in the late 90s, and he only came back to do some voiceover work for Tim Burton, but it was very minimal, and it was as a favor to Tim Burton, because they were friends. But he essentially retired. Now, if it had actually been the season 23 opener, he would have come back to play the toy maker.
Yeah. Didn't he retire?
1986, So.
Yeah. Didn't he retire after being in Batman and Robin?
Something like that.
He also played Alfred.
Yeah.
In those movies.
He technically retired in 1999.
Ah, okay.
So, but he did pop up every now and then, like I said, to do favors for his friend Tim Burton, but it was always something where it required minimal effort from him.
Yeah. When you're retired, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. What's funny is how they got the idea to have a Doctor Who episode in a carnival type setting is because the Blackpool Pleasure Beach, which is an amusement park, throughout its years has had celebrity appearances. They'll come and do either they've been there on their own having fun. Some cases it's been official appearances. In this case, in 1984, Colin Baker went as the Sixth Doctor as like an official appearance for a ribbon cutting on the Space Invader ride.
And then that would get John Nathan Turner's idea
right.
So
there's a picture of Colin in the Sixth Doctor outfit with some gals in costume that are supposed to be, I guess, themed for that particular attraction. So they got the idea of having a Doctor Who story set in an amusement park, and it would have had this, the same plot. People start going missing. The Doctor gets captured by the toy maker, which would have been played by Michael Gough. It's the plot would have been pretty much the same. And Michael, it was like, absolutely, I will come back to play the toy maker. Obviously that didn't happen because they cut the X on Doctor Who for 18 months. So
it's unfortunate because I just think like, okay, so you have the Celestial Toy Maker who's huge in the game. You have the Blackpool, the carnival, the sort of amusement park sort of thing. And you're in the 80s when video games are just, I mean, 86, so this would have been, Nintendo and all those things. I'm just kind of like, oh my gosh, that is such a perfect match made in heaven. Now, through we kind of, there was some opposition against Doctor Who in general at the BBC, so who knows how well it would have gone. So, so maybe this is a blessing in disguise on some level, but like, oh, that would have been so much fun. That would have just been a really fun, interesting concept. But I'm glad Big Finish got the chance to like, okay, hey, we're gonna do this, and you get it very much feels like a TV. You can picture it as a TV story from that time period. So they did a really good job just capturing sort of that era and where it's not it doesn't. What am I trying to say? Sometimes when you're listening to Big Finish, like original ones, it kind of like feels like, okay, yeah, this was made in 24 or whatever. But and that's fine. That's totally fine. I'm cool with that. But also, like, some of these lost stories, it's like it kind of needs to feel like it was made back then.
And just speaking of this too, something just kind of popped in my head. It would have been real cool if, sure, we had the 18 months, but if they could have actually done that story and then somehow managed to link it with Trial of the Time Lord and have the toy maker and the Valeyard. Look up. That would have been, that would have been something.
There were so many great possibilities that, that you're kind of thinking like, okay, what could have been, and we can just kind of be like, just sort of imagine how it would have been and what and what it was like. It can in my head canon, it's like, there is a timeline where all of this happened, and they actually thought all this through, and they had the trial of a Time Lord and the toy maker and whoever else pops up, because I don't know. It just feels right. It feels right that they've done such a thing. So, the toy maker is one of my favorites. I don't know why, but he's just diabolically childish. And
he's not the master, but he still has that feel to him.
Yeah.
The master is always slightly unhinged.
Right.
The toy maker, by being the entity that he is, being almost, a god with a little g, and seemingly the only one of his kind, and having all this immense power, he gets bored really easily.
Yeah.
And so he constantly needs to find ways to entertain himself. And when he encounters the doctor for the first time, William Hartnell's doctor, and gets bested, he realizes that he's found somebody worthy of playing with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, oh, I'm not bored anymore. I'm gonna go mess with this guy.
And to put it in another fandom's perspective, the Celestial Toymaker is kind of Q. In a way, except there's more than one Q, but still, it's like, oh, you intrigue me. I'm going to come back and make your life a little bit interesting and annoying.
Yep.
And annoy you.
And it's funny because the doctor seems to enjoy it too. Like, less so his companions, but going back to the one with the story with the first doctor and poor Stephen and Dodo. Like but there you are. It's like if it was just the doctor and the toy maker going at it, it was like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna outsmarm each other, basically. Which is why I enjoy these stories with the toy maker. I'm just like, oh my gosh, you are ridiculous and terrible and awful, and I love you.
Yeah, and the you can hear it in the acting too. David Bale, who ends up taking over the role of the toy maker in this for Big Finish. I don't know how much like research Neil Patrick Harris did before doing his version, but I could hear a little bit. There's a few times where this version of the toy maker seems to be speaking with a little bit of a strange accent. Kind of sounds German in some spots, sounds English in some others. And once we get into the meat of it all, and he starts expositioning and telling us all his plans and everything, and how he gets all excited about getting playing with the doctor again, and capturing Perry and all this fun stuff. And there's several times where he just starts like laughing like a little kid.
Yep.
Where he's just like it's like, okay, creepy, you're the toy maker, so this fits.
This does fit, indeed.
Yeah.
That's basically what he is. He is a kid with all of this immense power. It's like, what would you do if you had someone who was so childish and so immature and just
that
so
all the time in the
selfish
world,
all the time, and all that, and you get the Celestial Toy Maker. And I'm like, he is one of my favorite Doctor Who villains because of that. It's like, it's like the facts, and it's like, that is just so scary because you could do a terrible horror movie with that. But in this context, we have someone like the Doctor. It's like, well, it's going to be okay because the Doctor's gonna fight him and best him, and it'll be okay. I mean, if you did something like that in a horror movie, I'd be like, oh hell no, I ain't watching this. But where it's in Doctor Who, and I know that the Doctor's gonna win, and like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying this. This is a good time.
Yeah.
Just watch you two go out.
Yeah, because at this point, the toy maker, it's been a hot minute.
Right.
And he's been kicked out of his toy room. He's not in that dimension at the moment. So he's having to figure out how to entertain himself being stuck on planet Earth in the mid to late 80s, essentially, at this point where this takes place. And you remember what like the 80s were like as far as entertainment is concerned, and we're getting to like the first like peak of video game mania.
Yep.
And in the process of, you know, capturing people and using them as guinea pigs or as test subjects for his crazy game ideas, he realizes that if he turns himself into a video game, that he can have fun with all sorts of people.
Yep.
And nobody's going to be any the wiser.
And nobody's going to be near the wiser because, you know, you send your kid off to the arcade with a pocket full of quarters, and they're, you know, your mom could drop the kid off at the arcade that's attached to the mall. She can do her shopping. And as long as they've also got enough money for like a hot dog and a Pepsi, they're going to be fine for hours.
Oh yeah.
So,
and the toy maker is like, all right, let's do this.
Exactly. And that's it. So in this case, and it's just interesting, you know, because this was done in 2009, they couldn't have known that the toy maker was going to come back in television form, you know, up however many years later. But this works out well because this encounter with the toy maker, well, the doctor does agree to, he eventually agrees to play a game, you know, this is supposed to be like, you know, the doctor's like, well, I'm winning right now because I beat you, and as the first doctor, and he ends up agreeing that, yeah, he and the toy maker will play, but they never get around to it. Therefore, when we get Neil Patrick Harris's incarnation,
Yeah.
you know, he and David Tennant's doctor are all like, you know, the doctor's up by 1, they play, the doctor loses, it's tied, so they got to do best out of 3. Technically, that's right, because the 6th Doctor didn't beat the toy maker because they never actually got around to playing.
Yep.
So, so it still works as far as canon is concerned. I love that.
Yep.
What the Doctor really did was stop the toy maker's plans to assimilate himself essentially across the globe in the form of an arcade game.
Yes.
Because the toy maker can't, as powerful as he is, he does have some limitations, and he can't turn himself into someone different. He'll always be the toy maker, but he can pretend
Yes.
to be someone else, and in this case, an arcade machine, and they've got their base, you know, set up here in Blackpool, in the, you know, just hidden in this amusement park, but then they've also got some sort of base operations also set up over in California, probably Silicon Valley. You know, a lot of video games came out of that area, still do. A lot of technology comes out of there, so it makes sense. So, but they just managed to stop him before he escapes and makes it to California to start distributing this arcade game that's going to steal people's souls when they lose, essentially.
Yeah. That would not be ideal. Although imagine the toy maker with the internet. Holy cow.
Oh boy.
Yes. Yeah.
Scary.
Yay for the doctor. Like,
yeah. But not so much for the rest of us. Because it's really funny. It's actually funny because, like I said, I was at my in-laws over the weekend, and we went to a local casino to go to the buffet to celebrate my and my mother-in-law's birthdays, because her birthday's the day after mine. And we weren't able to go up on, you know, the weekend closest to our birthdays. So we're sitting there eating our food, you know, back and forth in the buffet, and we're talking about the different, you know, you can hear the bells and the sound effects coming from all the machines around us. And at one point, my mother-in-law says something about, they should have something like this for kids. And I'm like, they already do. It's called an arcade.
Call the arcade.
Mhm.
I even remember. Okay, so tangent. So when I was growing up, we like to go to it's in Mesquite, Nevada. It's kind of it's on the way to Vegas, but not quite. And like there were a couple, and they have like parks and museums and stuff, but we always liked to go to the arcade. And I remember thinking when I was like, I don't know, 10 or so, when we were down there, I was like, this is a casino for kids because you're spending all your quarters on the hope that you would get enough tickets for that big poofy teddy bear, which I never
Right.
got, but I always got a bunch of
And
kitty things and junk.
yeah, and the rule: house usually always won. You
That
didn't
is
get
true. That's
you
true.
didn't get tickets.
But it
No
was
matter
funny,
how
yeah,
good
it's
you
like,
think you might be at skee ball.
no,
Right.
you're really not. You're really not. But it was fun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We had a good time. Also, they had a really nice pool, so we
Oh,
liked it.
nice.
That was always a must when we went on these trips. It's like, does the hotel have a nice pool? Does it? Good. Yes. Let's go.
Yep. What's funny is this casino, they have one in Michigan as well, and that's the one we usually would go to, but now they've opened up one closer to where my in-laws live, and that one is bigger and actually does have like a kids play area and has like arcade machines and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't think this particular branch does. So, but there's someone at the buffet eating, and they had the kid with them, which that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah.
So, but it was just funny because my mother-in-law is like, they need to have casinos for kids. I'm like, yeah, it's called an arcade.
Oh, the arcade.
Yes.
Yes.
And the only person that you'll be in for is your parents for asking for more money for
Pretty much.
quarters, that it's going to get
If
taken
your
off
mom
of the
and dad-
allowance.
If the grown-ups haven't blown it all in the slot machines, you can have some quarters.
Yep.
Not that my parents ever really did when we would go, but yeah, but the buffet. Oh, now you're talking about the buffets. It's making me hungry. They have, depending on where you go, those buffets are yummy.
Uh-huh.
They got some good eats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the toy maker's not wrong.
No.
Yeah, you get people, standing, seeing an arcade machine, and they'll be there. They could stay in there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So,
Well, I mean, look at video gaming now. Like, you may not be dropping all these quarters in the arcade, but it's like hours. I mean, good grief! In the when we had our super NES, and I was like going on Donkey Kong Country 2. I'm like, I need to beat this level. It's driving me crazy. And then
yes,
then I finally beat the whole game, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Now I need to play.
Well, depending on where you go, like there are places in like Japan where they have arcades that are for specific types of machines. Like they have some that are like just like the claw machines.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even now, people maybe wonder, because gaming either at home or on, mobile is, available to so many people. Do people still go to arcades? Yes, they do. There's a reason Chuck E. Cheese is still in business.
Yes.
Yep.
I mean, the Nickelcade that Jared used to go to when he was growing up, it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
It still exists.
Yeah, one of the.
It's kind of like it's sort of like, yeah, you could do it. You could game at home. You could even have your friends around and be gaming there. But it's just something about you're at the cabinet, you're doing the thing, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little more thrilling.
Yeah, there's not this last time, but the time before when Chauncey and I were in San Francisco, out in the pier area, there is an arcade. It's an arcade / museum of old style like penny machines.
Oh wow.
Where I mean, some of them were actual games, like really rudimentary, like mechanical, like you're playing quote unquote baseball, uh, or you're racing a horse. And then but it covers the gamut for from the late 1800s up to some arcade machines that are 20-ish years old. So you can see how much they've changed throughout the years. But that's a if you're ever in San Francisco, that's a good fun way to kill an hour or two, just have a pocket full of change, because some of them they're still pennies or a nickel or 10 cents. So
Yeah.
you need a variety of change in your pocket, but it's quite fun to see how those machines have changed throughout the year.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean
don't stop gathering coins in a jar just because everything is electronic.
yeah,
Right.
Or you could still collect coins, guys, and not just
Mhm.
as a novelty item, because
yeah.
some it's fun to have that little piggy bank or that jar or whatever of change.
Mhm.
That was that when we go to Mesquite or wherever. That it's like my mom had one of those, and she'd be like, "Okay, we're getting all the quarters and all the dimes and all, and then we'll take it with us." Like, all right, it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, this is if you remember arcades in the 80s, this definitely will
Story will
stir up some memories, and if you've ever been to someplace like Coney Island or uh places like that, with a combination of roller coasters and dark rides and arcades and
the old timey boardwalk.
Boardwalk type area. You can easily visualize what this would have
looked
what
like.
this could have looked like if they had got to make it as an actual TV story.
Yeah.
And so, the toy maker's so much fun that this is a fun one to listen to. As far as like story is concerned, it's not necessarily the strongest.
Well, and I mean, I think the draw of this one would have been the setting and the fact that they had the toy maker again. I don't think that the plot so much had to be anything groundbreaking or spectacular. It was probably, especially in that time period, it's probably best that they didn't go too funky with it. It's like just kind of let the characters breathe and do their thing, and which I think is what Big Finish does really well here. And I mean, I you know I don't have any frame of reference for what Blackpool is, or I didn't when I first listened to this, but I kind of can guess what it is, and over the years watching Doctor Who.
I think Blackpool's where Jenna Coleman's from.
Yeah, well, I mean, now I'm like, okay, now I get it. It's it's sort of this place that they go on holiday or something like that. It's kind of that sort of vibe I get. If I am wrong, British listeners, please tell me. But that's kind of the idea I get of it being what Blackpool is. It's like, okay, this is kind of neat. So I kind of feel like you let the fun carnival type setting of it do its thing, and then yes, it is weird things happening in a place that should be kind of straightforward, and you know what you're getting, but then you have the toy maker in there doing mucking things up and disappearing people just for the fun of it, and then the doctor comes in and does. So I think it would have been a pretty solid season opener if they'd have gotten to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, because it would have been a 2-parter.
Yes.
Which I think would have helped too, because I think
yeah.
it could have allowed it to breathe a little instead of
Yeah.
cramming the whole thing into 1 hour in a Big Finish
Yeah.
audio.
Yeah. Well, and the fun part of this is, okay, so if you remember the first season of the Sixth Doctor, they tried, because everything up till then had been like 25-minute episodes in a story, and mostly it was 4 episodes in a Doctor Who story. Then with the first season of the Sixth Doctor, they changed it to, was it 45 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Supposed to fill an hour or whatever. So 2 parts, but they were longer. So each episode was longer. So you still had basically the same amount of time, but it was. But they didn't have to shoehorn cliffhangers, as many cliffhangers in there. So
Yeah.
I think, and it was a little bit awkward in that first season, but I think they probably would have got like, okay, we figured this out, or now we know what we're doing, or now we know how we're doing it. So it might have been a little smoother at that point if they'd been able to do another one and be like, okay, now we got the hang of it. Because I felt like I mean my my iTunes says that this story lasts 2 hours. I did not feel those 2 hours.
No.
Sometimes with some of these longer ones, you're just kind of like, okay, I get it. How many times can you run down that same corridor? And again,
Yeah.
it's audio.
Yeah.
But it felt like
I just felt like there was some stuff that was kind of not fleshed out as it could have been. Like there's a whole bit with, this Kevin
yeah.
constantly going back to the amusement park looking for his lost brother, and whenever he sees something weird he makes a report to the cops, and then the cops are getting frustrated, and apparently he's got his own dedicated folder that's quite thick at the police station about about his missing brother and those strange things he's seen happen. And then like that the cop eventually kicks him out and says, don't come back until you found your brother. If you find your brother, I hope that's the last time we ever see each other. And then Kevin, eventually we figure out that his brother has been abducted by the toy maker. That's what the toy maker's been doing, has been collecting people over hundreds of years to be his lackeys or test subjects or whatever. But then the whole Kevin gets reunited with his brother towards the very end, and it's like, yay, fantastic. And that's kind of left. And there's this whole bit where the doctor's starting to hear the toy maker call for him psychically. And at one point there's this woman whose kid's gone missing, but then she ends up finding the kid, and that doesn't become anything, which I think visually may have been more interesting than the kid doesn't ever say anything. We just hear the woman talk about, my kid's missing. Yeah, he's daft, but he's not that daft. To run away or something. Okay, well, let's hope your kid doesn't hear you talking about them like that, mother. So yeah, there's just a few things that I think maybe would have been better if we could have seen them, or if they'd had more time to flesh it out a little or something. I don't know. But
yeah, some of that can be a little tricky, but it kind of feels like that they're working within the confines of the script that they have.
Yeah.
And maybe not trying to add too much flair, I guess, to it.
Yeah, because technically they had a complete story.
Yes.
It's just it was a TV story, and they had to adapt it into Big Finish, as opposed to writing something from scratch as a script for Big Finish, because obviously those scripts are going to look different than a television script.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, there are some bits, it would have been funny at the end to have Kevin walk into the police station with his brother, I found him, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or something like that, but I don't know. It's kind of easy to nitpick those things, so many years after the fact. But yeah, you're right. There could have been a few other little bits thrown in just to kind of tie up those loose ends. But which would have been interesting to see, or hear.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, but it's not
it is what it is.
it's not the end of the world. So
No. We still
I would be interested to dive into the others though.
Yeah.
And
Some of
and
them.
see, because that's the seventh Doctor in the Magic Mousetrap, and then there's an eighth. There's a eighth Doctor in a comic, and then there's a audio with Charlie in the toy room. So
Okay.
which is Solitaire. So
I thought you were saying more lost stories. I'm like, where are the
no,
eighth
it's
lost
no,
stories?
it's a Charlotte Pollard audio, but it's an eighth Doctor with
It's a
a comic.
Isn't it a companion? Or well, isn't there one that's Companion Chronicles? It's Charlie and is that the one? That one's Solitaire, right? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Companion Chronicles 4.12.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, those Companion Chronicles are so good.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah. All right. So yeah, the Lost Stories also definitely worth checking out if you can. Some of the Lost Stories I will say start out with this one started out with a lot of it was a complete story basically. Some of them are a little less fleshed out, so you can definitely tell that like okay yeah they're kind of having to build or fill in the gaps that were left. Like sometimes it's just a treatment or a just the outline of a script or something, but it's like hey there's something here we can work with. So so as you go through the Lost Stories, be mindful of that some of them that they've found are not complete stories, but this one was a fully completed script. So they had a lot to work with and a lot to just they didn't have to come up with anything to fix the plot holes or whatever happens in the editing process. So that's good. But yeah, it's like then obviously you can go check out other stories of the Celestial Toymaker as you find them, whether it's audio or comics or what have you. There were probably
read the novelization.
Read the novelization. Yeah.
If you want to. So and this said even though this is not Big Finish mainline, I was able to listen to this on Spotify.
Yes, it is on Spotify. It's one of the ones that they just have on there. So if you don't want to or you don't have the funds to purchase, which I totally understand, go check it out on Spotify.
Yes, because this one is
it's like
even if you bought it through Big Finish, it would still just be digital because this is no longer available in CD format.
Yeah,
so
it's out of print on CD, but so there you go. But it's a good one and worth owning if you feel so inclined. But anyway, I know with Big Finish you have to pick and choose because there's so many, and it's like if I bought all of these, I would not be able to.
If you can always go on like the Big Finish website, read the synopsis.
Yeah, that too.
And and even you could be like, well, I really like the Fifth Doctor, so you could go and just like look for Fifth Doctor audios and just kind of read, and then if one looks good to you, if you've got Spotify, I mean, you don't have to necessarily be paying for Spotify. I mean, you just be listening, you'll get ads if you're not paying for it, but still, if you don't mind a few ads, go to Spotify and see if it's one that they put there available for free.
Yeah.
Right.
So, or maybe someone else has.
Right.
In some cases.
Sometimes they shuffle them so the tracks are all over the place. So just be careful of that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or to work around that, do a search and then try to look at the tracks and make your own playlist.
Or in some cases, some people have made the playlist for you because I think that's.
Yeah.
I don't think that the I listened to was the Big Finish Spotify account. It was somebody made the playlist so that the tracks were in the correct order.
Ah, gotcha.
So.
All right. Well, there you go. There are options.
Yes.
So seek them out, and it'll all work out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else we want to touch on, or any other thoughts?
No, that's all good. You know me. Let's give me a 6 Doctor story, and I'm happy.
Yes.
Yep. And here's hoping that this is not the last we've seen of the Toymaker. I would love to have more adventures.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, he's a fun one. So,
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Well, if any of our listeners have listened to this Big Finish audio, or just want to talk Celestial Toymaker, 6 Doctor, whatever, or just tell Rachel happy birthday belatedly.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Rachel.
Thank you.
Sounds like it was a good one. You can send us some feedback. Our email address is fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is thefivishfangirls.com. You can leave comments there. You can also go to our social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and leave comments there. And then at the website, there are show notes, all of our links that we talk about, and some others that we just might think are interesting, we'll put there. And you can also look at, or listen to us through. We have our YouTube channel. You can listen to us wherever you get podcasts. We're pretty much everywhere. And then, if you feel so inclined, we do have some ways to financially support the podcast. One of which is Patreon. The other is our merch shop. So check those out. See if there's anything you would like to do there. And as always, of course, we thank you for listening. We appreciate your support, your comments, your interactions, just listening, downloading. We love you guys, and we are just happy that you're here with us. So keep on keeping on, and watch out for that false spring wherever you may be, because don't ditch the
True
switch.
that.
Yes.
True that.
Yep.
All right. With that, we shall sign off for this week.
This is Chrissy saying goodnight from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Next time you're in the TARDIS, Jamie, you might want to check your pockets. Harry may owe you a little bit of money. Thank you, our Fiveish fam, for joining us on this week's geeky journey. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Stay connected with us on our website, thefivishfangirls.com, and follow us on most social media with @FiveishFangirls. Plus, check out our nonprofit, Fangirls Give Back, to see how we're making a positive impact in our community. Until next time, stay nerdy and let the squee continue.